Let's talk about this Trumpism article. This is an amazing article.
Yeah,
All right, check this
insane.
out. From CNN, how Trumpism explains the GameStop stock surge. Spoiler alert, it doesn't, but let's read anyway from Chris Saliza. He says at the core of Donald Trump's angry populist appeal was and is this sentiment, quote, "The elites think they know better than you. They think they can tell you how to live and what to believe. But guess what? We, the people, are smarter than the elites." Let me stop you right there, Chris.
Yes. That's
the elites do think that. And we, the people, as a decentralized, distributed computing network, are smarter than you. It's why communism doesn't work. Because a committee can't figure out how to distribute resources better than a decentralized network of individuals who are seeking the things they need and want. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a laissez-faire capitalist. I think there are still problems there. But yeah, we see it in computing. A distributed network is better than a single point of failure. I digress. He says Trump elucidated this argument in its purest form at a rally in North Dakota in 2018 when he went on his riff, quote, "I meet these people. They call them the elite. These people, I look at them, I say, that's elite. We got more money. We got more brains. We got better houses, apartments. We got nicer boats. We're smarter than they are. And they say they're elite. We're the elite. You're the elite. We're the elite. So I said the other day, let's keep calling these people, and let's face it, they've been stone cold losers, the elite, the elite. So let them keep calling themselves the elite, but we're going to call ourselves. And remember, you work harder, but you are indeed smarter than them. Let's call ourselves from now on the super elite. We're the super elite." Chris says what made Trump's argument so potent, politically speaking, is that he wasn't just calling out the elites. He was saying that the average Joes needed to rise up and actually show them how wrong they were. That voting for him was the best way to express their anger and frustration. With the condescension of the alleged betters, Donald Trump offered himself up as a collective middle finger to the elites, and he won. All of which brings me to the current, seemingly inexplicable stock surge of GameStop, the video game seller that has made its money over the years thanks to its location in malls. Now, from here, we get kind of the point. I got to tell you, for the most part, he's bringing up the correct point in kind of the wrong way. Mm-hmm. It's not Trumpism. Trump did not create this. Trump is a symptom of this. Guess what? The elites have been saying we're smarter than you. They have been using revolving door politics where the people from the biggest corporations get the jobs in government overseeing the same company they just worked for as CEO, or starting wars and selling the bombs from government back to their friends in those companies. We know what they do and we know the games they play. We know the bailouts they get. When they fail, they say, oh, well, we have to save them. They're too big. But when mom and pop shops fail, they say, sorry, too bad. Why don't you apply for unemployment? Maybe 6 months, we'll kick you a check. That isn't enough to buy a loaf of bread. Yep. More importantly, let's even talk about schools. I'm not a fan of college, but they are telling these people your only choice is to go to college, racking up massive debt for young people who find no way out. The system is crumbling. The elites have been milking it and extracting it forever. And it's gotten to the point where people are saying enough. And now the best part is the left and the right are both laughing as this happens. But to claim it's Trumpism, no, you see, Trump was the imperfect avatar for people who felt this anger. But there are people who couldn't agree with his policies. As a man, he couldn't represent this entity well enough. With Trump gone, that entity is now in its purest form. The rage of the people staring at the elites who have been stripping out their value and kicking them down and mocking them is now just been unleashed. And this is what we get.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, man.
Yes.
Struck him down. Now he's a being of light.
Yep.
Chris, the author of this article, actually tweeted it, and the number one response right now is a picture of Ralph with a flute in his nose, with 1,500 likes right now. And I'm reading some of the replies, and a lot of people are just like, "What are you talking about?" And you're right. He had a hard time explaining what was happening, so he just did the laziest thing he could and said, "It's all because of this one guy."
Trumpism.
Yeah. I want to share this story. I'm not endorsing what I'm about to share the story, but I live in middle America. I live in Tennessee. I live in Nashville. And the problem with a lot of the media, they live in New York or LA. They're totally disconnected from real people. I live in Nashville, right downtown. It's a very popular bar across the street from me. I went and watched Sunday football. There was a young man in the bar wearing a hat, and he was with a big group of people, and he walked by to go to the bathroom. I said, "What's on your hat?" And it said, "Make politicians afraid again."
Oh.
And that's the sentiment you have in the South, in Tennessee, where I live. Nashville is a relatively liberal city. It's had a liberal mayor, a Democratic mayor since like the 1960s or 70s. But that guy's sentiment on his hat that he's wearing out in a crowded bar, everybody watching football, no one bats an eye at thinking like that. And so you're right. Again, Trump, imperfect avatar, but if we let people express their anger through the ballot, it's a lot better than these other methods that they're going to go to. And if we don't restore some integrity in our election process, we're just, we're headed for civil conflict.
Well, I got this quote. This is the 4 boxes of liberty, which we briefly mentioned. They say Larry McDonald, a politician from Georgia and former president of the John Birch Society, has also been quoted, omitting the caution to use bullets as the last resort. Quote, "We have 4 boxes with which to defend our freedom: the soap box, the ballot box, the jury box, and the cartridge box. The term is used in newspaper articles and has been used in a petition to the Supreme Court of California. 4 boxes and derivatives have been used in the name of various websites that espouse patriotism and the right to bear arms." I think there's a better quote that's probably safer to use. "Those that make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable." And that was, we talked about Kennedy who said that. And so it's similar. When people soapbox and they stand up and say this must happen, and then big tech bashes them over the head and knocks them to the dirt, well, then they go to the ballot box. They cast their votes. Then we saw Trump bring people to the jury box, sort of. They went to the courts. They tried. And then what we saw was people storm the Capitol. So it's a low-grade version, and it's scary because we don't want conflict. We want people to figure out a path forward. But I tell you right now, what we're seeing with this GameStop Wall Street stuff is populist anger. You know what's funny is there are a lot of establishment Democrat types who are scared of the word populist. They don't know what it means. You're either a populist or you're an elitist. I understand it's not absolute, but the general idea is for, of, and by the people, or for the establishment elites, the cronies, the people with the money, the people born in the wealth. The way I look at populism is popular ideas for the population, ideas that the people want and need. So when you have the left and the right completely disagreeing on how to implement the policies to make things better, but completely agreeing the establishment is crooked and corrupt and cheering this on, well, then we are seeing some kind of raw unified force. It's not going to be politically unified, because the politics, the political parties and the ideologies are more of effigies or avatars of this ideology or anger. No, what we're seeing now is pure rage. Like when you see people go out in the street and riot, pure rage. There's no rhyme or reason. What we're seeing now with WallStreetBets is just digital. It's online. It's more strategic. But a lot of people are throwing their money behind this, not expecting to get rich.
Tim, do you think, because my concern as a black person is I'm wondering, it's like when I'll have a conversation with my mother about all of this, and she's so into Democratic politics. She's such a Barack Obama. I'm not even sure if she fully understands what's going on in this country as it relates to working class versus the elite. My mother was a 30-year factory worker. She is as working class as it comes, but she's so into Democratic politics that I think she thinks she's an elite because of the life that I provide her, probably. But I think she thinks she's an elite, and everything to her, or I don't want to speak for her, but for a lot of black people, everything comes down to race. Trump supporters, they're racist. So it doesn't matter that they stormed the Capitol and confronted white politicians. That was racism. That was...
It's the divide and conquer. Now, first, I'll say it again, because I think they accomplished nothing by doing this, storming the Capitol. But divide and conquer, man. When we had Occupy Wall Street, Luke and I met at Occupy Wall Street, and we're like on mirror images. We both took the political compass test. I'm center left, Luke center right, but we met at the same place because Occupy Wall Street attracted libertarian types, right, ANCAPs, anarcho-communist leftists, but something disrupted all that. Identity politics. That came in and dominated the discussion, and it pushed out anybody else who might actually align. And so that was divide and conquer.
Yeah, I mean, that's why a few weeks ago we were talking about this, and I'm like, there's going to be a huge anti-establishment swell that's going to come after people realize about how Joe Biden is invested in the special interests that don't serve them, that screw the American people. I think we're seeing the first steps of this, and I think we still have a lot more to go, a lot more to do, and I think this is going to become more and more prevalent as we're going to see this kind of new emergence of a new kind of Occupy Wall Street populist movement that's going to be against the establishment. We're seeing it here. I mean, I was telling you it's going to happen a few weeks ago. I think we're at the beginning of it. It might be the stock thing. It might be another thing, but I think we're headed towards a lot of people being extremely discontent with the current system, realizing it, organizing, and moving forward. I mean, we're seeing almost close to civil wars breaking out in places like Holland right now over, of course, the lockdown issues. And that's only just one issue out of many issues that people are getting screwed over with.
Look at Vladimir Putin saying in Davos, we're in an era that was just like pre-World War II. And so we're dangerously close to something truly traumatic and devastating in this planet. We talked about this before, the mass printing of money. Do you know that somewhere around like 60 to 66% of all U.S. dollars were printed in the past like 10 months, around that? Never happened before. And so you have to imagine there's going to be some rapid and dramatic instability or mass divide between the rich and the poor getting worse. Economic inequality leads to serious economic instability. Angry poor people come out, show up with pitchforks when they realize there's no path forward for them. And that if you're going to, you look at some of these places where there's oligarchy. San Francisco is essentially a big tech oligarchy. There's so much human waste littering the streets of San Francisco. You heard about you know about this story? No. San Francisco has their own poop department. It's funny, right? Haha, we laugh. No, it's serious. You can say that Chicago's got a Chicago Fire Department. They got the Chicago PD. And then you can say they got animal control and whatever public services. San Francisco has a poop department. They deploy people to clean human waste off the streets. But they have some of the wealthiest individuals on the planet living in the Bay Area and working in these areas. How can that be? The divide is massive. People start to realize that the wealthy elites are rigging the game to make sure they never lose and you never win. And then people are going to lose it.
Yep.
They're going to get mad. Now, I'm basically going to reiterate a point we made earlier. But now looking at how people are like, oh, we can play this Wall Street game too, right? Nope.
Yep.
They'll change the rules on you.
Yep.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.